Welcome to the Team Woods podcast. I'm your host, Scott Fain, and today's guest is a licensed real estate broker with YTown Realty, sheriff's deputy, and a Youngstown school board member. Let's welcome Mr. Jerome Williams to the podcast. This is the Team Woods podcast, and guest for today is Mr. Jerome Williams. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, just wonderful, just wonderful.
Excellent, excellent. I just want to get started here with you. How long have you been living in the town of Youngstown?
I'm a lifelong resident of Youngstown. I'm 59. I've been living here 59 years.
Okay, native born. Okay. What's it? What do you do? What do you like best about the city?
I think the best thing about Youngstown is probably location. Number one, we're 60 minutes from Cleveland. We're 60 minutes from Pittsburgh. 4 hours from New York, and the cost of living is great. You know what I mean? I always tell people, living in Youngstown, you can afford to travel because the cost of living is so good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I know. I've been down a few times. I love Youngstown. I've come to love it over the years, working with my partner down there. So you're licensed to sell real estate. The name of your company is YTown Realty. How long have you been licensed to sell real estate?
I've been licensed in real estate since 1986.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's been.
What's that journey been like?
Huh?
What's that journey been like? I mean, you've seen ups and downs in the market over that length of time.
And actually, real estate is kind of like a roller coaster, and sometimes because the market always recovers. You know what I mean? When some days, when you're in real estate, the times are slow, but 6 months long, you got so much business you don't know what to do with. I always tell people, if you get in the real estate business and you stay in it, say, at least 2 years, you'll get used to the roller coaster, you get used to the ride. But again, it's the only business that you can be into that, you could have close a deal and make some money that you would never make working for the average company. So it's just, it's a field in real estate that, when you cross the stadium, when you graduate from high school, whatnot, nobody really say, I'm getting the field of real estate. But really, I think that's the biggest miss of all, because again, real estate can be profitable.
Very profitable. That's comes a little bit from my experience working in real estate over the years. Been in real estate over 15 years. I'd like to take just a moment to talk a little bit, especially since you talk about getting into real estate, setting real estate goals, and in the real estate business. Like a lot of people, sometimes they'll want to get involved in real estate. And how important is it to set goals when you're trying to do the real estate business?
Real estate setting goals is really important, because the thing is, when you're in real estate, that you're your own boss. You may work for a company, but if you when you wake up every day, you start working, the board just met. So again, you got to determine, okay, how much I want to make this month, or what's my goals. When I first got into real estate, my goal was to do so many listings and so many sales in a month. I had a goal where, for example, in real estate, I had to give out 10 real estate cards a day. And that meant not giving one person 10 cards. That means I had to make 10 contacts a day. Again, letting people know I'm in the business. As long as they knew I was in business, I know I was making money. And the greater part about making money, I'm serving them. I'm delivering their product.
Mm-hmm. Being of service.
Right.
And how'd you go about setting your goal to get your real estate broker's license specifically?
Well, that was something too. When you look at in Ohio, for example, that says you have to have 20 sales, and that was on both sides. You have to have the listing and the sale portion, or 40 halves. But most time in real estate, usually you don't get both halves. So my goal was to shooting on 40 halves. So basically, my goal, it wasn't at that point whether I made $1 or $1 million. I had to get the sales because I wanted to open my own company. I wanted to be my own leader. And back then, I sold a lot of even VA repos. Sometimes I sold empty lots. Maybe I sold an empty lot. I made $10 on it on a repo. Man, I made $100 on it. But if a lot was on the market, I'm not going to neighbor's door saying, "Hey, you want to buy that lot?" And I might put in, few hours getting the contract together, I might have made $100, but what I made was another sale. So again, it's just focusing on your goal. My goal was to make 40 transactions, and and the law didn't say I had to sell 40 houses. It said I had to have 40 real estate transactions. So that's how I kind of strive towards.
Okay. Well, yeah, I like that. It's a solid goal that you can focus on and keep working towards. And it's not out of the realm. What you're doing, what you set yourself up for, was a very attainable goal when you set a high standard for you setting out the 10 cards a day and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about your office. What can you tell us about YTown Realty?
Well, again, my company is called YTown Realty, and me, Youngstown Realty. And so I wanted the community to know I was committed to Youngstown. And so I put YTown. And so I figured if anybody that's moving to Youngstown, when they Google it, I wanted them to call me. So I had to make sure that the community knew, or outside knew, that was my specialty. You know what I mean? And so I named it YTown Realty. I put up the signs. I basically tooted my own horn, and I went around doing that. Like I said, by passing out the business cards, by making sure that I had my signs up, large signs. Even when I sold something, I put the sign sold, because again, I wanted my name to be a household name. A household name. When you sell real estate, I wanted it to be like Youngstown, called YTown, and it worked out pretty well. Okay.
Well, what advice would you give to young people, folks under 18, about setting goals that you've learned? What advice would you give from your own experience?
Well, I would say basically, when you're talking about setting goals, first of all, you got to believe in yourself. Okay, when you set a goal, first of all, you got to say, I want it. You got to realize basically what you want, and then you got to set attainable goals. Okay, and you can set goals in stages. You can say, okay, in 6 months I want to be here, in 12 months I want to be there, in 3 years I want to be there. Because sometimes we set goals and we feel personally that it's so high that we're never going to attain them. We sometimes we say, I guess it's funny when in the 7th grade they come to you and they say, hey, tell us what you want to do when you grow up. Well, you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, but you make this, you say something. But like I say, if you want to set a goal, you can still set it in steps. And I kind of learned that concept when I used to bike ride a lot, And in Youngstown, there's a park, Milk Creek Park. Rose Garden Hill is the hardest hill in the park. And when I top that hill, and I look on top of that hill, it looked like it was just so far away. So I knew if I could make that hill, I could ride the park all summer with no problem. So I wouldn't look at the top of the hill. I would look at a tree. Then look at another tree. I look at another tree, and before you know it, I was on top of that hill, because I wasn't climbing the hill. I was just climbing to a tree. So again, sometimes you determine, hey, where you want to go, but set that goal step by step.
Well, what about some of these older folks out there, my age and older? What advice about setting goals would you give?
I would say that you're never too old to anything you want to do. And sometimes what we do is we say, well, my time has kind of passed. But I don't believe that. We are basically controlled on what we believe. Somebody say, if you think you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. And that's the truth. And sometimes being older, sometimes we like, well, many people must have tried it. But again, it's not us. Every situation in life is different. But the bottom line is it is to go for it, and just don't give up, and don't let your age be a deterrent either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that one. Moving on to business planning. Putting your plans and goals in writing. That's one of those things that, we sometimes struggle with, as far as capturing the idea of what we want to do and where we want to be, and putting it down. But from your experience, why should a person put their goals in writing? I mean, what difference does it make?
Because you first of all, you have to believe it yourself. whether it's real estate, whether it's anything, if you say, well, you want to open a donut shop, the first thing, I ask the person, you open a donut shop, what are you going to call it? Well, I'm gonna call it Bill's Donut. And I said, well, where are you going to open it up at? And they says, well, I'm gonna open it up in Youngstown, Ohio, or Akron, Ohio, or whatnot. I said, well, go on the state website and see if that name's taken. And then if it's not taken, buy it. I say, you may pay $30 for the name. You own that name. Mm-hmm. I said, then I told them follow up. Then go to IRS and say, hey, I'm opening up Bill's Donut. They'll give you a tax ID number. So basically, that particular business has been born. You might not have sold a donut. You might not have made $1. So you don't owe Uncle Sam anything that day, and you have made donut. But now it exists. So when you talk to people about your business, they believe it, and you believe it too, and it goes on. So now it is a person. It is a thing. Then you grow from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good idea. Very good, because it lends passion and commitment to your idea. Right.
Absolutely.
Now, how would you go about staying focused on your goals?
Well, somebody in most businesses stuff, they have a mission statement. And I learned a long time ago, I started learning my mission statements, whether you're in a business, a nonprofit, you write out those goals and you know where you're going, because sometimes what we tend to do, we tend to sway to the left, to the right. So if we're saying we're going somewhere with that business, we look at our statements, what we do and what they get to us there. Mm-hmm. And by writing them down, it helps us from avoiding being sidetracked, going elsewhere. So definitely writing it down and looking at it and really visiting it daily. Okay, what can I do today to attain that goal?
So constantly checking back and following back up with what you've written down, and just make sure you're on track with Absolutely. With your goals. Okay. Have you always been a goal-oriented person yourself?
Yes, pretty much, because I just realized that when you're going somewhere, you got to know where you're going. You got to keep focused. Because again, if you don't do that, you tend to sway, you give up. And then again, just trying to, when you set that goal and where you're going, you can see progress more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It helps in your progress because you know where you're going and you're on that right track.
Okay. Can you give us an example of how you go about putting your goals in writing and writing things down? Like, is there a system that you're using, or?
When usually I try to do a daily and a weekly goal, because sometimes you may fall short on a daily goal. But so I might say for example, in real estate, if I say I want to make 50 contacts a week, and I break it down and say a 5-day work week, I want to make 10 contacts a week. Now, if I make 5 that first day, I know I got to make 15 the next day, and they had to be. The key to is being sincere and serious about it. When like I said, when I talked about the concept about passing out the business cards, like I said, you can't give nobody 10 cards and call that 10 people or 10 of that. You have to talk to 10 people, because again, whether it's real estate or whether it's your dream, when you talk about it growing, you'll find others that believe in your dream or want to do the same thing, but you have to make the contact.
Okay, so, you got to take that effort and step outside yourself.
Step outside your box for a time, yes.
Okay. Well, why do you think a lot of people don't put their goals in writing?
They are afraid of failing. I think people are afraid of failing. But again, if you look at great people, there's nothing wrong with failing. I think there's something wrong with never trying. So that's, if I never put it down, I'm not obligated, I'm not committed. But I mean, you have to commit to something and say, hey, I'm going to do this. But don't be afraid to fail. It's just I can't put it any better way. Don't be afraid to fail. Get back up.
I would say even a nice little button on that too is, when you fail, if you fail, as long as you don't quit, I don't think that's a failure. You know what I mean? Like once you quit and after you fail, then it's failure. But if you fail and you get back up and you try again, that's just one way didn't work, and now you're doing it this way, and now you know what I mean? Keep progressing.
Absolutely. If you look at from Abraham Lincoln to Michael Jordan, everything didn't work out the first day, but they kept going on. They didn't give up, and that's the key.
That's the key. Uh, let's move on to investing in vacant land. You mentioned that a little bit earlier. What's your take on building new construction in Youngstown?
I think Youngstown is a gold mine. It is so much property in Youngstown that's unbelievable. Where again, you have a lot of clear land. You have some certain neighborhoods that have died off, but the all the infrastructure is still there. You know, and the beautiful part about I think now they just passed thing right there in Youngstown where you can get if you build new construction, you can get a 15-year tax abatement.
Hmm.
So basically, you go buy a lot in Youngstown. Maybe the lot's 100 by 100. Okay, the taxes in Youngstown are pretty low, so the taxes on that property may be say $300 a year. You could put $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 property. House on that property or business, and you're still going to continue to paying the same taxes today. You're still going to pay that same $200-$300 a year for 15 years, and you can't beat that. And then, like I said, there's land out there where when you look around again, the biggest thing about new constructions too is getting all the utilities to the land. It's already a lot of them is already there. So again, I think it's a hidden secret. It's a gold mine. It's so much property available in Youngstown. You can actually start your own community. So,
yeah, that's one of the things I noticed about Youngstown too. I love how you guys have it. It's kind of spread out in some places, and there's a lot of vacant land. I drove by it myself. Now, if someone wanted to buy a piece of land and build on it, what are some of the steps that they should consider taking?
Well, I think it is determined, what are you going to do, whether you build a house or a business, and you just want to determine where you want to be. Now, again, it suits your purpose. But what I always tell people to do, in real estate, driving day, driving night, kind of get one with that property. Sometimes when you think about buying your property, just park there and just watch the traffic. See if the traffic is what you want, what you're looking for. If it was a business or it was a home, if you want to move out in a quiet neighborhood or a more progressive neighborhood, but you can learn a lot by just sitting there. Just, when I used to put a lot of properties on the market, before I would stop at the seller house, I might drive around the block 4 or 5 times. And one seller says, I don't know if I want you to list my house because you passed my house 5 times. And I said, it took me 5 times to determine how I was going to market your house. It took me 5 times to determine who may be a potential buyer. Then when they figured that out, they said, oh, that makes sense because, sometimes we talk about, well, we can sell that property, but, we've got to determine who's the buyer. So if we're looking for something to buy ourselves, we need to just sit in the property and just let's look at what's going around.
So you're trying to understand what the market is for the property itself to know who's gonna sell it, who's gonna be interested in it. That way you know how to market it. That's a good idea. So how can you help? Like if someone's looking to invest in vacant land, how can YTown Realty help them with the process?
Well, I first of all, let them come in or call me or something. I also want to talk about what you want, what they want. Okay, because YTown Realty's job is to find you what you want. People will always talk about how many houses you sold. I tell people I've never sold a house. I said I've been part of thousands of transactions, but I've never sold one because I determine what the buyer wants and I deliver. So again, if somebody's interested in property or want to move in the area or build a house, what I want to do, I want to talk to them. I want to kind of feel what they're looking for and meet that goal. That's how I help people when it comes in transactions in real estate.
Just a different frame of thinking. I appreciate that, especially when it comes to being in sales and things like that. It doesn't sound like you're trying to be selling anybody anything. It's like you say, you're just trying to find out what you want and provide and deliver that thing.
And and to be honest, I learned that from a customer one time. I was showing a young lady a house. Young lady was looking for a house one time. I showed her several houses, and as I kept showing her several houses, I kept going back to this one particular house. I say, well, that one house that we looked at on Monday, you know, it had A, B, C, and D, what you said you wanted. And then I told her on Tuesday, same difference. Then she stopped me one day. She says, I don't want that house. And that made me think about it. You know, when you sell in real estate, you're not selling, you're bringing them what they want. I thought, based on what she told me, that would be the perfect house, but that's not what she wanted. And so again, it's delivering to people what they want, and they're taking care of their needs.
Okay.
And understanding.
So I okay. I like how you approach the business. If I was looking for property in Youngstown right now myself, I definitely would come to you, because I like that. I like your approach. Let's talk a little bit about working with contractors, especially hiring contractors. What's the contractor market like in Youngstown these days?
Well, there's a lot of contractors out there, you know, but I think the thing about when looking for a contractor, you got to make sure that both of you have the same goal. You know, because some people in business, and they call themselves contractors or craftsmen, and they want to make that big hit and run, I guess I call it. You know what I mean? My thing is, I when I develop a team of people, like when I renovate houses, when I retain people, what I look for is people who want to go the distance. I wasn't looking for somebody who wanted to come in and do one deal, or one job or two jobs and go. My thing was, hey, I'm gonna be doing houses. I'm gonna be either buying new homes, buying houses to renovate, and I want you to do all mine. If you're my carpet guy, I want you to do all my carpets. If you're my plumber, I want you to do all my plumbing. I say, but we got to understand that in this process, everybody is in it for the same reasons. In business, we want to make money. So if we're doing maintenance on a investor's property, if we're managing property, for example, you know, I just tell the contractor, you have to eat, I have to eat, and the investor has to eat. And some of them don't realize that. And so it takes time to get a good staff of contractors where they understand what you want, and you go forward. That, because again, for you to go forward, we have to be on the same page. They keep it going, because you don't want to have to too much have to always constantly double check on that contract. Is he giving you a fair price? So you got to make sure that he understands the concept of what you're doing and what's the focus, that we all want to eat every day, and everybody has to get a piece of that pie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that a homeowner or an investor can do to eliminate major issues with the contractors?
Well, the thing is, number one, make sure you have a contract and spell out what you want. You can't just leave it open ended, because again, at the end of the day, it may be a communication issue. And the thing is, if you have 5 categories that you need done, say plumbing, electrical, carpentry, you know, sometimes it may not, the best move may not be to have a general contractor. Sometimes I like to usually use individual contractors for each job. So we're on the same page on what we're doing and what's cost. And again, it always ask for costs. Don't leave it open to the end. Don't leave it, so, you know, contractors say, I'll take care of you. You know, you want to have an understanding what's the cost, or if nothing else, what it can go for no more of. And contract. And I always tell people, when you get into a territory that you need, say for example, you have a steam heater or steam or a water heater in a house. Well, you don't know nothing about it. And that's what I say, you need to call in several contractors and let them give you bids. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get several different bids. And as they're giving you bids, they're going to educate you on what's needed and what's not needed. So that's the key. And once you learn it, you learn it. But again, you know, you have to take charge yourself of being responsible for being treated fair. And the key to it is, if you don't know, you don't know, but you educate yourself on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, taking it from the flip side, What are some of the things that a contractor can do to eliminate major issues with a homeowner or an investor?
I think number one is just being honest and sincere, and again taking time to understand what the homeowner or want done, and explain them, talk to them about quality, talk about material. That's the time you sell yourself on the job you're doing, that to understand that again you're there to make a dollar, but you're there again to serve their needs. So building confidence into your clients, basically.
Mm-hmm. I would transparency.
Absolutely.
Transparency. That's one of the things that I like to encourage when it comes to contractors, especially when it comes to doing the detailed estimate and providing like what you're describing, like an outline of what you're going to do and saying, this is what I'm going to do and this is how much it's going to cost. I understand things come up, but as long as you're being transparent and communicating, then there's more of a chance to get a meeting of the minds where everybody's happy at the end of the transaction.
Absolutely, because you want to be in the business for the long run, not the short run. So,
well, winding up, before we go, I wanted to ask you about your work on the Youngstown School Board. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do there and your mission?
Well, basically, I'm a school board member. And basically, I got on the school board because of the kids. One of the kids are our future. And we talk about problem with schools and stuff like that. But sometimes, if nobody steps in and basically see what's going on, then we can't complain. And so basically, number one, schools are our future of our city. That's what you got to keep in mind. When somebody's buying a home, one of the biggest considerations they're taking is the school system if they have kids. So because they got to figure, well, if I'm going to buy a home here, am I sending my kids to the public school or do I got to send them to parochial school? So again, they have to take that into consideration in their budget. But like I said, as a school board member, basically, my job or what my goal is to look after the kids, make sure there's a future out there. I want to make sure that every kid has a chance, opportunity. Sometimes we go, well, the kids out there they're selling drugs, the kids are doing these things. I believe everybody want to survive, everybody want to grow, but I want to make sure that we're giving the kids an opportunity to education, and that let them know the importance of education. A lot of people don't know, and even parents, they don't know the importance of education. So again, my goal is just to make sure that every kid that I can help, that they have opportunity of education, and whether it's traditionally going to the regular college or they're going to trade school. I want to put it out there because again, you might not be going to Harvard, but if you go to trade school and you learn to do a trade, you can still feed your family and you can still go on.
Mm-hmm. Well, how can if someone wants to support you and for your upcoming election, what is the information that you can provide where they can lend some support, and when is the election, that type of thing?
The election is the first week in November, and basically they come out and vote and vote for me. Again, I'm running for re-election. I sat on the board for 4 years, and then I was reappointed at some for 2 more years. So I'm running for 2 more years right now to finish this term. And again, my goal is just to, as I say, get those things in place and work on grade school. Just spread the word, both for Jerome Williams for Youngstown School Board, and get the word out.
All right. Well, there you have it. I'll make sure to put any and all information about getting the YTown Realty and Jerome Williams for school board when we present these podcasts. But I really want to thank you for taking the time and letting us pick your brain this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Bye. All right now.